DW Africa Link.
Hello guys, let's play a game. Riddle, riddle. Which country has dominated African women's football for a very, very long time? If you guessed Nigeria, you're correct for 3 points. Really, the Super Falcons have won the CAF Women's Africa Cup of Nations, WAFCON, for a record 10th time. So this year, is it Nigeria's tournament to lose? Or has African women's football entered a new era? That's what's coming up. I am Eddy Micah Jr., and you are welcome to Africa Link, the podcast connecting you to the stories that matter.
Africa Link, every weekday here on DW.
Can anyone stop Nigeria's Super Falcons in the ongoing CAF Women's Africa Cup of Nations, WAFCON for short? Morocco have home advantage. South Africa believe they can retake their crown. Zambia boasts some of the world's most dangerous attackers. Here's what to note though. For the first time, the competition has expanded from 12 to 16 teams who are chasing history in the biggest WAFCON ever. The competition also doubles as Africa's qualification tournament for the 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup. So this obviously adds even more significance. Let's bring in experts to talk football. Biola Solace Chukwu is a sports analyst from Nigeria. I also have Mushinge, our very own correspondent inside Lusaka, Zambia. Glory, your country Zambia started with a big bang, beating Egypt 6-0. How confident are you in your team?
100% confident. The team started off on a good start, and that's how you want to launch your campaign, because then it alleviates whatever pressure that you get at group stage and puts you in a safe place going forward. The team itself is promising big things to the nations. We trust in their word, especially Captain Barbara Banda. They are playing emotionally, having lost their coach, long-time coach. He was former, but he worked with them from 2018 to the end of 2024. So he was like a father figure to them. And he passed early this month on the 9th of July. So they are playing emotionally, and they are saying that this campaign is dedicated to him. So they are working hard to try and bring a result. And so 6-0 is not a surprise.
There's more to play for, it seems, from how you describe it. How closely are Zambians following the tournament, and what expectations really do they have of the national team?
Citizens are keenly following the tournament and have very high expectations of the team because they know what they are capable of doing. Most are aware that reaching the semi-finals guarantees qualification for the 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup in Brazil. So in short, fans are following the Copa Queens WAFCON campaign with intense passion, high expectations for a title win, and firm hopes for World Cup qualifications.
Right. Thank you very much, Glory, for that. And I mean, I honestly did not watch the game, but I came to check the highlights, see the scoreline, and I was like, what just happened? 6-0 against Egypt. It's quite the opposite result for Nigeria, isn't it, against Malawi? Biola, what happened? You guys have won 10 times the competition already and losing 3-2 your opening game. What went wrong?
Absolutely shocking. I am still, grieving that. And it's really shocking, not just to me, not just to Nigerians, but the whole of African football, the whole of the world, actually, considering, Nigeria 10-time champions and then Malawi, who had never played in this tournament before. But I think there were so many mistakes made. In a way, I feel the Super Falcons underestimated Malawi, considering their debutants at this tournament. Also, I don't think there was a concrete game plan here. The starting lineup, in my opinion, was not very satisfactory. There were some players I don't believe should have started that match. I also don't believe it was handled properly when it comes to coaching and making changes and figuring it out at some point. So yeah, I think that was it. They did not see Malawi coming that way. But in my mind, I was really wary personally of the Chawinga sisters. I am very excited to see them, by the way, because I have always wanted to see them at the Africa Cup of Nations, some of Africa's best that just hadn't gotten that opportunity. So I think the Super Falcons underestimated them, and now they have obviously paid for it.
To think that you're in the same group with Zambia, who won their game against Egypt 6-0, are you scared?
I would say I am scared. I am a little wary because I have always seen Zambia, at least in the last 2-3 WAFCONs, as one of the biggest teams in Africa now. They have grown to that level. And last year, in the quarterfinals of the WAFCON, Nigeria beat Zambia 5-0. I don't think any of us, even Nigerians, expected that kind of trashing because Zambia beat Nigeria in 2022. Zambia have really grown since then. So that 5-0 was unexpected. So seeing Zambia winning 6-0 very comfortably, their players looking very good, the attack, Barbara Banda, Rachel Kundananji, it's it's scary for Nigerians because it is a must-win match for the Super Falcons. If the Super Falcons do not win this, it's basically over. And the Super Falcons have never, ever failed to qualify for that tournament. So it would be a first if that happens. So Nigeria has to go all out. And I can understand that Nigerians would be scared considering Zambia's results. So yeah, we are scared. I admit that.
How does that make you feel, Glory, that your team could kick Nigeria out?
I don't know what to think because I should be saying the same thing, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you say it's a different tournament from last WAFCON. And form does change. I know that form does change. Look, we are talking about how Nigeria lost to Malawi. And 5 days before that game, they played Ghana in a friendly and lost. Malawi lost 4-0, right? And then after 5 days, they come and they're a different form. So it's possible that forms do change, like you say. 2022, Nigeria lost to Zambia for bronze. And then we thought, okay, we have this. Nigeria is a team that we've beaten before and we are coming in strong. And we got a shock when we were hammered 5 unanswered goals. So this time around, still, I can't say the 6-0 would be what takes them to the next game and produce the same result. But as I say, just the resolve, the emotion that they are carrying with them would help them. But it's not going to be an easy game, especially as you put it, Nigeria, it's a matter of survival for them. So it promises to be a very difficult game for Zambia.
Definitely, I hear you on that. I am not going to miss that game no matter what. But, let's talk about the competition overall. We're talking about the first expanded WAFCON from 12 teams to 16 teams. Biola, what does this signal?
Yes, I think it definitely signals the growth of women's football in Africa. We have all been clamoring for that, really. I think every one of us has wanted African women's football to grow, and we are seeing that, and we are seeing the competition as well. I think a lot of people feared that coming into this WAFCON with 16 teams, with new teams, would have that thing that used to happen in the WAFCON in the early 2000s, where Nigeria would beat a team 5-0, 6-0, and there would be so many matches like that, especially from the new teams. Well, we have seen a really good level of competition. I don't think we thought that Tanzania would beat South Africa 2-1. And of course, we didn't think that Malawi would beat Nigeria 3-2. And we had that in back-to-back days. And those are literally two of the biggest upsets in WAFCON history. So, yeah, we have seen a lot of growth in women's football. So the fact that it's been expanded definitely shows that. I think it should stay like this for a while. Let 16 teams compete. This is the first time it's happening. So let that happen for the next 2, 3, maybe 4 editions before we can expand it again. But we have seen immense growth, and it's beautiful to see, I must say. So, yeah, that is happening. Women's football isn't given the respect that is due, really. And the fact that in big year 2026, a lot of people are still struggling in some countries to have access to the tournament. It definitely shows that. But like I said, we are not where we used to be, but we are not where we should be.
I mean, I like the way you're being optimistic about it. You're seeing the glass half full instead of half empty, because as you say, there are definitely still many challenges that remain, but baby steps moving forward in the right direction. Let me come back to you, Glory, because, I mean, not just are you super proud of your team right now, talking about challenges, what has your team had to overcome, you know, to get to this stage to get to this competition and to start on such a bright note?
Yeah, mostly I wouldn't point at so many challenges, apart from the fact that mostly it's just things that happen in administration. Mostly the players will say they don't want to be involved in what's happening at administration level, but sometimes it tends to affect them, you know. Once in a while, you find that they don't get their allowances in time. They do get their allowances eventually, but sometimes it doesn't come in time. And then mostly the people that face these challenges are those that are not signed up in international leagues. And it's issues like infrastructure, training grounds, for instance, they leave much to be desired. I've always talked about the importance of beefing up that kind of infrastructure.
What kind of support has the team received from government, sponsors, and football authorities? Is it enough?
To some extent, it is. They are getting support as compared to before. You have the government chipping in terms of allowances and just sponsoring the team itself. And you have corporate bodies. For instance, there are some corporate bodies such as some mining companies that have been sponsoring, that have signed deals to sponsor these teams. You have betting companies, you know, locally, for instance, some football unions in the country have secured a collective $100,000 4-year image rights agreement for World Cup pedigree players. And you have brands like Betway that have previously provided financial injections to celebrate historic milestones. You know, milestones like when they've qualified to go to the Olympics, they've qualified to go to the World Cup. And then the Football Association of Zambia also funds the technical teams. They facilitate high-profile coaching appointments, and they lobby for corporate integration. Of course, we have then like international bodies like CAF and FIFA, which will sponsor, allocate direct participation fees like the now $150,000 for WAFCON.
Right. I mean, talking about how far women's football has come and how much more room there is for improvement, I'm wondering in terms of media coverage, right? We keep talking about, women's football not getting the full coverage, the necessary coverage that is needed, say, compared to the men's football. How is it this time in your own Zambia? How's the media following the women's football team?
So let me just say, of course, compared to the men's team, the women get less coverage, but it's getting better as well. As we speak, we have the games that Zambia will be playing being televised on national TV now. But when they are playing, sometimes when they play regional games like COSAFA tournaments and stuff like that, sometimes you struggle finding the links or finding the channel that's supposed to show, and people will complain about the fact that the Football Association will just give us the results and not show the games. But when there are big tournaments like the WAFCON, the World Cup, Olympics, we tend to watch. And also the coverage has risen sharply because the men have been disappointing. So more people are now emotionally backing the women's team.
Any little thing people can do to make sure that it is where it deserves to be is very welcome, I guess, is what we're saying. You guys are all being optimistic. I like that. Okay, so look, let's go straight into what we expect from at least the group stages. Biola, coming straight to you. Group A, the two teams to go through would be, I mean, there's Morocco, Algeria, Senegal, Kenya. Who's your money on?
Of course, I definitely see Morocco going through from the group. Morocco are actually one of my favorites to win it all, actually. So they're playing at home. They are one of Africa's best sides. Have reached the final in back-to-back tournaments. So I definitely think Morocco will go through. Who else will go through is also really dicey. You mentioned Algeria, you mentioned Kenya. I think Algeria might go through as well. To be honest, in that group is kind of tricky and you really don't know how to predict it. But Morocco is definitely certain. Morocco.
Yeah, Senegal didn't have the best start yet, but we'll see how the rest of the games go. Group B has South Africa, Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, Tanzania. Take one, Glory. Who's going through?
South Africa. I've known South Africa as fighters, both the men and women. They are tenacious and they pull up surprises. I don't know what happened for them to have lost to Tanzania. It was a last-minute defeat anyway, and anything could have happened at that point. Maybe they relaxed, maybe they thought they had it and undermined the opponent, which is dangerous. Probably a similar situation with what Nigeria did with Malawi last evening, although I know Malawi to also be a strong team. But with Tanzania, it must have been a situation where South Africa thought we would just stroll over, and then they were almost maybe getting a point each, and they relaxed. Then Tanzania hit. So they will be coming back fighting their wounded lion, and I think they'll bring a result.
Okay, so South Africa and who?
Ivory Coast.
Okay, Glory believes South Africa, Ivory Coast are going to make it past Group B. Group C, Biola has, your favorite group, isn't it? Nigeria, Zambia, Egypt, Malawi. If you really look at it, which two will go through?
I was kind of hoping you wouldn't give me this group, but here we are. You have but with Nigeria's results, it kind of changes everything. With Malawi beating Nigeria, it kind of changes a lot. But I think Nigeria and I think Nigeria and Zambia will go through. If Zambia do not go through, I think Malawi would go through. If you had asked me this question yesterday morning, I think I would have just said straight up Nigeria and Zambia. But now it's a little harder to call, but I would still say Nigeria and Zambia or Nigeria and Malawi. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I believe Glory would have no objections to that if Nigeria and Zambia end up going through. I'm going to come to you now, Glory, for Group D. Has my own country, Ghana, in there. There's Cameroon, there's Mali, and there's Cape Verde. My goodness, they are like the team to watch now. Well, at least in the men's national team. But let's see how the women's national team performs. Who's your money on the two to progress, Glory?
Okay, so quickly, I'll just say the group of death is C. And I'll go with the same prediction. It's either Zambia, Nigeria, or Malawi and one of those. But back to D. We've played Ghana. I've seen Ghana. They are a strong team. Zambia has usually struggled with them when they've done these two-legged games. They've come to Zambia and almost won, sometimes won. So Ghana is a strong team. They have mental fortitude. And I'm thinking Cape Verde will be a surprise package. And they've gotten the excitement, they've gotten the encouragement from the men's team. So they want to show what they have to offer as well.
Okay. As long as you mentioned Ghana, I'm Ghanaian, I'm cool with that. I'm happy that you did that. And I'm pretty sure Biola from Nigeria will have no reservations about Ghana, the Black Queens of Ghana, going through to the next stage of the competition. I mean, there's more games to go to decide how things pan out, but there are a lot of experts saying it is Nigeria's competition to lose. No doubt. They've won 10 competitions so far. Not the best start this time around. Maybe Zambia will have something to say about it, considering how much of an attacking flair Zambia has in this particular competition. I mean, they've always kind of had some very good attacking players. So only time will tell how things go. look, in wrapping it up, we could go on and on talking about the teams and what to expect. Football will come up with its own surprises. WAFCON has become one of Africa's biggest sporting events. 5 years from now, starting with you, Biola, where do you see women's football on the continent, and what needs to really happen to unlock its full potential that we believe it has?
In the next 5 years, I want to believe the WAFCON will be more respected. I want to believe African women's football in general will be more respected. There won't be that tag of it's not quality football, it's not fun. We would also be able to access the Women's Africa Cup of Nations all around the world. People will not struggle to find where to watch the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. The media will do better with covering the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. I would say for this particular edition, I have been particularly impressed with content creators, football journalists all around the world that are actively talking about the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. It's very heartwarming. I have wanted to see this for a long time, and I believe in the next 5 years it should be better. Yeah, I also want to believe that in the next 5 years, more investments would be pouring into African women's football. We need that. I would also like to see more African countries host the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. Morocco has hosted it in 3 consecutive editions. I would like to see it spread out as well. That would help the development of African women's football across board. So yeah, that and more.
That and more is exactly a good way to end it. Glory.
5 years from now, women's football in Africa can become a self-sustaining global powerhouse. And what needs to happen for that to become reality includes sustainable funding. There's need to provide continuous financial support to federations and clubs instead of sporadic budgets for tournament windows only. It has to be continuous. There's need for infrastructure upgrade, as I said earlier, local training grounds, medical care, stadia safety standards across all member associations. And lastly, strengthening the players' and teams' mental fortitude. I always say they need to withstand the pressures at big tournaments. That is a must because players sometimes cower when they play big teams. So they need to learn how to stay calm and focused when the game gets hard. With all that taken care of, we should expect multiple African nations to regularly reach the deep knockout stages of the FIFA Women's World Cup and the Olympics by 2031.
Hear, hear. Positivity all around. Look, I have enjoyed the conversation, and I would love to have the both of you in subsequent productions on the WAFCON tournament. We keep talking about making sure it's out there. People know that it's going on so that we can encourage women's football or participation of it, So I am definitely very happy to have you both back to discuss where we are at in the competition later. And eventually I would ask that big question, who's your money on to win the competition? Not now, so think about it. Watch the rest of the games and we'll see how things develop. But very good discussion from the both of you. Biola Solace Chukwu, sports analyst from Nigeria, and our very own Glory Mushinge, DW correspondent inside Lusaka, Zambia.
Okay, thank you very much. This was fun.
Thanks, Eddy.
It was very fun.
Africa is changing. Don't get left behind. Tune in to Africa Link.
Zambia could be one of the tournament's most exciting teams to watch. Led by global stars Barbara Banda and Rachel Kundananji, the Copper Queens have one of the most dangerous attacks in African football. Now, if they can tighten up defensively, many believe they have what it takes to lift the trophy.
I one time played football. I was a goalkeeper at the secondary school. The women's football, they should be encouraged. I think we should be supporting them. And they need more support from us, especially mothers.
The girls are playing a very, very good football. We are rooting for them. We are supporting them so that they can bring the trophy back home to Zambia.
This WAFCON, I just want us Zambians to win.
Only time will tell who wins this edition of WAFCON. Overall, I feel like African women's football has never been bigger, never been richer, and never been this wide open. The queens are on the pitch. The crown is up for grabs. And the whole continent is watching. Who's your money on? Share your thoughts on Facebook and TikTok at DW Africa. Listen to us on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And subscribe to our DW Africa YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. This show was co-produced and edited by Isaac Mugabe. And I am Eddy Micah Jr. Thanks for listening.
DW. Made for minds.